Could the Battle of Ontario come to an end tonight? Hopes are high in Leafs Nation.
We're just an hour away from a crucial Game 6. The Buds hoping to advance to the second round of the NHL playoffs. Good evening. There is a lot at stake. A loss this evening would force the Leafs into a must-win scenario.
It's playing out in the nation's capital, but fan support is still strong here at home. CTV Sean Leathong is live at Scotiabank Arena, where fans will no doubt be on the edge of their seats. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, you can see what's going on in front of Maple Leaf Square right now. The fans are waiting for Game 6 eagerly. The rain is coming down, but much like the players, they say they're completely unbothered.
On the morning of Game 6 in their playoff series against the Senators, Leafs coach Craig Berube says the team feels
business-like. Let's go. Ready to go.
Where the Leafs once led 3-0, the Sens have clawed back, making it 3-2, and are now claiming momentum.
This is not just about our team, it's about our city, and it's just, you can feel the excitement, and we're going to need it tonight.
I think certain players like pressure and don't really look at it like pressure. I think our team's enjoying themselves. They're excited to play.
When asked about playoff pressure, Leafs players say they look at it differently.
You want to go out there and just compete, have fun, do it for the guy that's sitting next to you in the room, and go out there and just enjoy the moment.
We know we're capable in that room, and we're looking forward to tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So which team is facing more pressure?
I do think there is a little bit more pressure on Ottawa tonight. They're back home. They've created a lot of excitement in this city. A lot of people are starting to believe on their end. And the Leafs, they know they're going to be kind of amping things up after getting shut out on home ice.
For Leafs fans, they know this team has had trouble closing out a playoff series, showing a wide range of emotions.
I'm confident. I think we're still going to get it done. I don't see Ottawa winning 4 games in a row.
I'm tired of watching the Leafs. They're just getting sickening. Just get out there and get it done for once.
Don't break your ankles jumping off the bandwagon.
So will that bandwagon move on to the next round or come back for Game 7 Saturday night?
Well, you can hear what's going on behind me. This crowd wants this to end tonight. I'll check in with some Leaf fans now. What's going to happen tonight?
Leafs are going to win. They're going to win the series. They're going to close it out.
What's going to happen tonight?
It's going to be a big win. I'm calling 4-1. Leafs in 6 all day, every day.
What's going to happen?
Leafs are going to take you home. Maybe we're coming back here not to play a game, to celebrate.
There you have it. The Leafs, they say, are going to win. This crowd is going to push them on to victory. Rain or shine, these fans want to see the Leafs take it home in 6. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Sean. Also tonight, Canada's oldest retailer attracts a bid from one of Canada's biggest retailers. What this could mean for the country's retail landscape coming up.
Well, we have an update on a story we brought you last night. Police have made an arrest in an assault on a cyclist that was caught on camera. It happened Tuesday morning in the area of Danforth and Monarch Park Avenues. A victim riding an e-bike can be seen traveling in the bike lanes when someone appears on the street to shove a shopping cart into their path. They were sent to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say a 47-year-old man has been arrested and charged with mischief, endangering life, assault with a weapon, and assault causing bodily harm.
In an emergency, every second counts, and that's why a Toronto woman is raising the alarm about being put on hold with 911 for nearly 2 minutes.
It was during a kitchen fire in her home, and as CTV's Natalie Johnson reports, it's sparking concerns over how long it can take to get through to an operator.
We had a dishwasher here, as you can see.
It was a few weeks ago that Toronto resident Upasna Sharma had gone to bed for the night.
The smoke was at the back of the dishwasher
when her husband realized their dishwasher was on fire.
There was white smoke which was oozing out, and the fire alarms were blaring.
Her husband ran for the fire extinguisher while Sharma called 911, worried that her whole home would soon become engulfed.
I was scared. I was frightened.
But she received an automated message saying that all 911 operators were busy and not to hang up. In the chaos of the moment, though, she did and called back, this time waiting nearly 2 minutes before being transferred to Toronto Fire.
The whole experience was very traumatic, and not able to immediately reach someone to talk to at 911 was even more traumatic.
Toronto's 911 call center is the country's busiest, fielding 6,000 to 7,000 calls every day. Major incidents can cause sudden surges in call volume, temporarily increasing wait times. In March 2025, the average 911 wait time was 58 seconds. At the time Sharma called that night, the average queue time was 1 minute and 6 seconds. She waited 1 minute and 48 seconds to tell an operator what the emergency was.
The system is overwhelmed. The system is not working. It's failing people.
Toronto police telling CTV News in a statement, "We recognize that emergencies are stressful and even short wait times can feel significantly longer in the moment. It's important that callers remain on the line. Hanging up places them at the back of the queue when they redial." Toronto police saying they are working to hire more 911 operators, including 3 classes of 30 this year.
As soon as I was able to get through someone, it was seamless after that.
But Sharma says having to wait on hold to get to that point has shaken her confidence in such a critical resource.
This needs to be fixed now because 911 is our lifeline.
Sparking concern about a system under stress. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
Detectives have identified the man killed in Toronto's 11th homicide of 2025. On Sunday morning, police responded to a motel near the Queensway and Royal York Road. They say 2 men were inside a room when one stabbed the other. 50-year-old Elgio Martinez Gomez of Toronto was rushed to hospital where he died of his injuries. Police that day arrested 57-year-old Tanas Shmagranovsky of no fixed address. He's charged with second-degree murder. This comes as police investigate 3 serious stabbings over the last 24 hours.
Just after 8 this morning, emergency crews were called to a home on Harlandale Avenue near Yonge and Shepherd. They found a man in his 20s who'd been stabbed. He was taken to hospital with injuries that police later described as life-threatening. They're now searching for a suspect seen fleeing in a vehicle. And emergency crews were called to an apartment building near Carlton and Parliament at around 4:30 in the morning. Police say a man in his 30s was stabbed in the apartment's common area. He was transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are searching for a suspect in his 30s seen wearing a gray sweater. And a stabbing in the city's West End last night sent a man in his 50s to hospital. Police say they were called to the DuPont and Campbell Avenue area just before 7:50 p.m. The victim has serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A suspect was also taken into custody. Police say the pair knew each other and the investigation is ongoing.
Still ahead, Premier Ford's outrage over judges sparks criticism at Queen's Park and a rare joint statement from the Ontario's Chief Justices. This as the province tables a big justice bill.
But first, a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot of the city. Clearly, there's some rain, chance of thunderstorms as well. Also windy tonight, so keep your eye on the sky. Not the best conditions if you've got plans this evening. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
And Nathan, as we know, it's another busy night in the city for various sports events that are taking place. Here's a look. Widespread heavy rain impacting the GTA at this hour, and especially from Vineland over toward Dunnville, the rain is particularly heavy, and there's been some lightning embedded with this too. Right now downtown, it looks like the majority of that is over Lake Ontario. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in place for Haldimand County over toward Niagara. East winds right now, that's keeping some communities cool. Look at that, it's 6 degrees in Hamilton, 7 in Niagara Falls. And here in Toronto, it's a bit of a cold and blustery evening for anyone out and about downtown. We'll give you an idea of how long this rain is going to last coming up. For now, Michelle, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. At Queen's Park, the Ford government introduced new legislation today. It says is aimed at being tough on crime.
However, the details were overshadowed by comments from the Premier. Critics say undermines his confidence in the justice system. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
Well, the government's been sharing bits of this legislation over the last week or so. It's something they say is designed to protect Ontario, like they promised to do during the election campaign. But today, the Attorney General was forced to try and smooth over an uproar created by his boss.
Everybody knows that judicial independence is a bedrock in a democracy.
An affirmation from Ontario's Attorney General the day after the Premier ignited outrage, slamming judges he feels are derailing his government's agenda.
Maybe that's the problem. We should do what the U.S. does. Let's start electing our judges, holding them accountable.
Doug Ford also mused about paying what he calls bleeding heart judges to retire early, sharing their record of granting bail publicly.
It's not something that we're pursuing.
But Doug Downey says the premier has tapped into something real.
The level of frustration that constituents and that the people that we serve have boils over into ways that we need to acknowledge.
Ontario's 3 chief justices have issued a rare joint statement stressing the importance of judicial independence after Ford described it this way.
That's a joke as far as I'm concerned.
The premier's rant dominated question period.
It's not good for any of us to talk like Donald Trump and call into question the judgment of the people that we put on the bench.
Ford didn't respond to questions. His attorney general handled them.
He never wants to address the things that he can actually change himself. He always wants to throw things out there that are more and more outrageous. It's very Trump-like, isn't it?
That it now be read for the first time.
This afternoon, the attorney general tabled a hefty justice bill that includes making it easier to get restraining orders against perpetrators of domestic violence, speeding up the hiring of judges, and allowing police to seize electronic devices used for auto theft. The government's also studying options for involuntary drug treatment for some Ontarians.
We are talking about individuals who have been impacted and are in our corrections facilities or in probation and parole.
The health minister says consultations will involve talking to those people, their families, and clinicians.
We need to do the work to make sure that any programs that we bring forward are actually going to help people.
It's an approach the Green leader finds puzzling.
I don't understand why the government's talking about involuntary treatment when they haven't provided enough funding for people who actually want to access treatment.
The government will spend the next few months researching involuntary treatment and gathering data. They'll deliver recommendations to Cabinet in the fall. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Siobhan. Also today, we learned when the Ford government will table its 2025 budget. Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy said the province's financial plan will be unveiled on May 15th. He repeated a pledge from the premier during his re-election bid, saying the government is prepared to do whatever it needs to protect Ontario amid trade tensions with the U.S.
Now to the spread of measles in this province, as officials report the largest increase yet in weekly infections since the start of the ongoing outbreak. To date, Public Health Ontario has reported 1,243 cases linked to the arrival of a case from New Brunswick in October. That figure is up 223 from last week. Overall, 84 patients have needed hospital treatment, and 80 of them were not immunized, most of them children. Opposition critics have questioned why there's been no news conferences from Chief Medical Officer of Health Dr. Kieran Moore on the fight against the highly contagious and potentially deadly virus. The health minister says he's actively involved in the response.
The work that Dr. Moore does, leading Ontario Public Health, leading all of the public health units, ensuring that they are focusing their efforts, we've made sure through Dr. Moore's leadership that there is sufficient vaccines for every public health unit who wants them. We have restarted a public education campaign that, frankly, was a recommendation of Dr. Moore to make sure that parents and caregivers understand the critical importance of getting that vaccine.
Public Health Ontario published these maps showing where measles infections have been concentrated, largely but not only in the province's southwest. The agency says case counts are rising because of continued transmission between people who aren't vaccinated.
The Toronto District School Board is considering cuts to its music programs and closures of some swimming pools as it deals with a deficit in the tens of millions of dollars. The proposed cuts were debated at the board's budget meeting last night. A report by TDSB staff suggests closing pools that aren't leased out and laying off all of the board's 86 swimming instructors would save nearly $13 million. The report also recommends eliminating 74 positions for music teachers. Critics on the board and city council say cuts to those offerings would be the wrong way to go.
But they're part of our kids' education. And anyone who, either wants their kids to learn to swim or fears, what would happen if they didn't have these skills, this is a part of education because there's going to be a point in most of our kids' lives they're going to get to a body of water, and we want to make sure that they're safe and they know what they're doing.
The chair of the TDSB says no final decisions have been made.
We have a $58 million deficit, and mainly created by chronic underfunding of our schools. You know, if you keep it at inflation, we should be receiving at least $1,500 more per student. Because we haven't gotten that money, because we haven't actually gotten the money that we pay for our staff, for their benefits and for their salaries, we are asked to find places where we need to cut to make a balanced budget. Unfortunately, the options that are being presented to us are all options that hurt our communities, that hurt our children's chances to learn and thrive in our schools. So, you know, it is a difficult conversation we are having. These options are being explored, but trustees haven't made any decision yet.
Last week, the province announced it was launching a financial probe into 3 school boards, including the TDSB, over deficits and spending levels. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Education says the TDSB has been given a record increase in education funding this school year and had multiple opportunities to address its deficit.
We turn now to the sale of the Hudson's Bay brand. Potential buyers had until yesterday to make a formal bid.
And there are multiple reports that Canadian Tire is among those looking to purchase this country's oldest company. CTV's Adrian Gabriel reports.
The fabric of Canadian culture is in part woven into these 4 iconic stripes. And now there's a line of suitors hoping to purchase a piece of our national heritage.
It's sort of like buying a piece of Canada. You're getting a piece of Canada and a piece of Canada's history.
It's the Bay's intellectual property that Canadian Tire is reportedly eyeing with their purchase bid.
The intellectual property includes the Bay, Zellers, I believe it includes Gluckstein as well. So, you know, it's quite fascinating to see if Canadian Tire wins, what they would do with those brands.
Though Canadian Tire isn't the only company in line. British Columbia billionaire Wei Hung Lee Hu has confirmed that she's placed a bid on 25 Hudson Bay stores after publicly disclosing her intent on Chinese social media. Lee Hu is the chair of a retail investment company that currently owns 3 malls in BC.
To keep some history alive and maybe rejuvenate the brand.
Canadians have supported the Bay for years.
And it's that sentiment that has led Canadian private equity corporation Urbana to toss its hat into the ring. The company's chairman tells CTV News it too is interested in the Bay's intellectual property, and it also plans to bid on the company's founding charter document, inked by King Charles II in 1670.
It's a critical part of the beginning of our trading history, if you will, in the world. I've always felt that the Hudson Bay Company never really fully capitalize on that brand that they have. In fact, I think over the years they debased it somewhat.
The sale of the charter will take place at a separate auction. As for who will win the Hudson Bay sweepstakes, we should know in about a month. Our emails to Canadian Tire went unanswered today. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, London, Ontario.
Some clarification now regarding those often confusing U.S. tariffs that are causing so much concern and uncertainty in Canada and elsewhere. There was confirmation today that Canadian auto parts will be exempt. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says North American auto parts compliant with the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement will not be included in 25% duties scheduled to take effect on Saturday. Also this week, President Donald Trump signed executive orders on Tuesday providing some temporary relief to automakers that finish their vehicles in the U.S. They include a rebate on imported auto parts that is equal to 15% of a vehicle's retail price.
Tariffs will likely be a major focus when Prime Minister Carney addresses the media tomorrow for the first time since the Liberals won the federal election Monday night. The Prime Minister's office says Carney will speak at 11 a.m., outlining the priorities of his new minority government. He'll also take questions from reporters. Carney campaigned on standing up to Donald Trump and the U.S. tariffs. Today, the president said he'll meet with Carney at the White House within the next week. There's been no comment on that from the PMO. Meanwhile, the Liberals have lost a seat in Quebec. The riding has gone back to the Bloc Québécois after a post-election vote validation process. The seat count for the parties is now 168 for the Liberals and 23 for the Bloc.
In Washington, Donald Trump announced today he is reassigning his national security advisor. Mike Waltz faced criticism after it was revealed he added a journalist to a Signal chat in March that was being used by top national security aides to discuss military plans. Today, Trump said he will nominate Waltz to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and added that Waltz has worked hard to put America's interests first. Marco Rubio will serve as acting national security advisor on an interim basis. He will also continue in his role as Secretary of State.
Hundreds of thousands of people around the world turned out for rallies and protests on May Day in support of workers' rights and social issues. In Istanbul, riot police arrested protesters near Taksim Square, where some of them tried to break through barriers. The jailing of the city's mayor was another key issue. In South Korea, demonstrators expressed unease over Donald Trump's trade policies amid fears of global economic instability. The holiday is also known as International Workers' Day.
An astronaut who missed out on the first all-female spacewalk 6 years ago finally got her chance today. NASA's Anne McClain was supposed to take part in that historic women-only walk in 2019, but couldn't because there weren't enough medium-sized suits. During today's nearly 6-hour spacewalk, McClain and a fellow female astronaut worked to prepare the orbiting lab for another new set of solar panels and moved an antenna on the 420-kilometer-high outpost.
Back here at home, hundreds of young women gathered to challenge artificial intelligence. The 14th National Hackathon is an event that brought together young learners from across Canada. It was held at the Peel District School Board office in Mississauga today. This year's theme, Hack the Bias in AI, challenges girls to design AI characters that address real-world issues and combat gender bias.
Like the stereotype that boys can do coding or like technology better than girls is wrong. I don't think that only boys get to do coding because many girls are amazing at coding. When you Google entrepreneur and the first thing that comes up is a man, I think that it both makes us frustrated with the way that society is shaped.
We are so excited to have kids in middle school to be participating, to learn to code and solving, creating stories on code, creating apps.
More than 550 participants took part in today's event. The winning projects will be announced in early June.
Coming up, strolling into the record books. A local father combines his talent for running with his stroller skills for a world record attempt.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, it's World Password Day, a day dedicated to get us all to use longer and stronger passwords. Many websites are hacked and identities are stolen because people continue to use passwords like 12345. We have some advice. That's just it.
Well, pretty soggy down at Maple Leaf Square this hour. If you're planning to head down for puck drop, you will need the poncho. The risk of thunderstorms, though, is going to lessen as the evening progresses. We'll start to dry out. And then overnight, there's the potential for some fog. Temperature near 11 degrees. Chance of showers really over the next couple of days, but not too much. We'll take a look at the weekend forecast coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Well, it's something we all use, and many of us have a dozen of them or more. We're talking about passwords. They unlock our phones, help us stream TV services, and check our bank accounts.
It is World Password Day, a day dedicated to getting people to use stronger passwords to help us avoid our accounts being hacked. Pat Foran has the story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Fraud is on the rise, and criminals are constantly scouring the internet for old passwords we've used before, hoping we use them again for other services. They want to find enough information to steal your identity and eventually your money. We need passwords for so many different services, and many of us have a bad habit to use simple ones and recycle them. If criminals can figure out your passwords, they can hack your accounts.
We average 50 reports a day.
Detective David Coffey says in the first 4 months of this year in Toronto alone, residents have lost $168 million to various types of fraud. Many crimes begin with identity theft.
Identity theft is, the root of all fraud evil, pretty much, because you never know when your identity is going to be used and for what purpose.
Even though cybersecurity experts constantly warn us to use complex passwords, this year the 5 most common included 123456, QWERTY, and password.
Use a long, strong, unique password. Change it for every place you go to. Like, don't reuse those passwords.
While many of us will make an effort to use strong passwords for banking and credit cards, we may reuse simple passwords for other services. But criminals may already have those passwords from previous cyber attacks.
If you are reusing old passwords in that way, then you should assume that they will be compromised. And it's probably a good practice to make that assumption and go out and change them as soon as you can.
You may want to consider upgrading to a password manager or passkeys, which replace traditional passwords.
There's definitely a role to play for passkeys, password managers, password generators. Again, anything that helps make it easier for you to try and generate a random password.
And don't discount the password for your email. If criminals hack it, they could request password resets for your services.
For me, it's typed in every time, very long, very strong.
Biometrics such as face recognition and fingerprints may one day replace passwords, but until they do, we're all encouraged to try a little harder to create unhackable passwords. And always be aware of phishing scams coming in texts and emails. They may pretend to be your bank or other services saying you need to sign in. It's a trick to get you to reveal your passwords or other sensitive information. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, it is raining and it is pouring, and dare I say the Leafs better be scoring tonight.
I hope it's a good sign, all of this rain.
And not a bad omen.
No.
I know it's been pretty dreary all day long, so we're hoping to spark some happiness into the forecast and hopefully into the night tonight with I'm not even going to say it. I'm superstitious, so we'll just move on from there. But we're not going to move on from the forecast. We're going to talk all about what's happening out there. Some heavy amounts of rain, some thunder, some lightning as well. But you know what? We talk a lot about April showers, so let's show you the May flowers on this first day of the new month. Aren't they beautiful? Yeah, a few raindrops on them in Oshawa today. Yeah, it's been a bit unsettled all day long. First with showers, then with a larger system moving in and embedded thunderstorms. This is different from the thunderstorm activity we had on Tuesday. Those were severe in nature. It was a line of storms that sliced across the province. Now it is worth mentioning that there is a severe thunderstorm warning in place for portions of Niagara region. A heads up around Fort Erie, for example. You've got some pretty powerful little cells headed your way. There's the rain that continues to fall around the GTA and specifically in downtown Toronto at this hour. We'll widen things out to show you the scope of this low. It's on its way out. As the evening goes on, we're going to start to dry out. Some fog is going to replace some of that rain, and the winds are going to kick up again through this evening and then taper off through the overnight hours, and that's when we can really expect the fog to settle in. But there's 7 p.m. Look at how that moves on out. Chance of showers as we continue into the day tomorrow. But we're also going to have some dry periods for your Friday and some sunny periods as well. In fact, look at Friday evening. It looks quite nice. Then into the day on Saturday, potential for some wet weather, especially in the morning hours and around noon. And then Sunday, it's going to be close, but we're watching this next area of low pressure, which is hopefully going to remain south of the border. So for us, hopefully a dry day with lots of sunshine. If that low creeps a little further to the north, you might need your umbrella for Sunday as well. Right now, the temperature is 19 degrees in Windsor, 10 degrees warmer than it is in Toronto, and some parts of the GTA, as we've been mentioning, are even cooler than that thanks to the east wind off of the lake. Here's what we're waking up to, some fog, then the winds start to pick up again, so that will help the fog burn off, but that southwesterly flow going to drive up our temperature, eventually to a high of 18 degrees here locally. Here's your weekend forecast. It will be a little cooler once again. Saturday looks to be mostly cloudy. And again, we're crossing our fingers for Sunday that we will get some sun. But in any case, we have a 30% chance of showers really for Friday, for Saturday, and then for Monday and Tuesday of next week. And after that brief cool down over the weekend, we are trending near seasonal, at least as far as the temperature is concerned, through next week. That's the forecast for now. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, providing a lifeline for kids who courageously reach out for help. A first-hand account of why Kids Help Phone can be a lifesaver and how walking this weekend can make a difference.
The Walk So Kids Can Talk is held this weekend in support of Kids Help Phone.
And as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, it's a chance to enjoy the outdoors, raise some money, and discuss the topic of mental health with the family.
It was a devastating loss, the death of his 17-year-old brother by overdose, that first prompted 14-year-old Matthew Ravita to reach out to Kids Help Phone.
My parents ended up getting a divorce from that, and I always felt like I didn't want to burden them with my own struggles. You know, when you're the youngest son, and being a man at that time, being a male, I felt like I had to kind of just stand strong and not basically show any weakness at that time, especially around 2008 timeframe when mental health was still very much taboo.
He says he looked up to his brother, and realizing he was gone put him in a dark, dark place.
Those dark days of depression where I actually went into attempted to take my own life and had a failed suicide attempt. Thankfully that I'm here today to talk to yourself and share my story.
Last year alone, for example, we served young people 4.3 million times, and they're reaching out to us about a variety of different issues. We saw an increase in conversations, 28% increase in conversations around physical abuse, an 18% increase about conversations around eating disorders and body image. So we know that young folks have a lot on their mind these days.
Aaron Sanderson says that's why this weekend's Walk So Kids Can Talk is so important. 16 cities across Canada will be hosting the walks, aiming to raise $4 million to support Kids Help Phone services.
They go to the technology, they go to the clinicians so that we can continue to be there no matter how a young person chooses to reach out to us amongst the different services that we provide.
And while his brother is the person who sparked Matthew's first encounter with Kids Help Phone, he'll have another family member in mind this weekend.
Last year, I lost my mom from cancer, but I always tell people that it was her mental illness and her mental health is what really was killing her for 40 years of her life. She had a very severe childhood that I would never wish on anyone, and I feel like that kind of unfortunately took over her life.
If you or a loved one is experiencing mental distress, you can reach the Kids Help Phone online, by text, or at 1-800-668-6868. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Well, today is May 1st, but the organizers of Pride Toronto have started the countdown to next month's festivities. Community members and organizers gathered for a lunch event today at the CN Tower, offering a sneak peek at activities, events, parties, and shows that will take place throughout June, leading up to the festival itself at the end of the month. This year's theme is All In. Pride Toronto says it represents a call to come together as the LGBTQ community faces renewed challenges, both at home and around the world.
And this is a call for all of Canada. This is a call for our community, members of the 2S LGBTQ community, our allies, to join in the fight to protect the rights of 2S LGBTQ community, to protect the rights of the trans community. We have a great opportunity, and let us use this opportunity to be all in.
The City of Toronto has boosted its funding for the event this year as Pride Toronto faces a budget shortfall. Organizers say they're still looking to fill $1 million gap to break even, but this year's festival will go forward. It runs June 26th through the 30th.
Toronto's Museum of Contemporary Art has announced its 2025 season.
It includes new exhibits with a mix of moving images, sculptures, and digital technology. Today, CTV's Jessica Smith got a first glimpse.
New work has bloomed just in time for spring at the Museum of Contemporary Art.
Whatever you see here, you will not see kind of anywhere else in the world just because of the unique nature of the space.
The 2025 spring season offers up a collection of mixed media installations, sculptures, digital art, traditional paintings, and more.
Many of the artists are making brand new work in real time with local resources and local tradespeople and our exhibitions team.
Access to the first floor is free, and right as you walk in the doors, you step into work by Canadian-American artist Jessica Stockholder.
And is one of the pioneers really of installation art, so bringing in different mediums into a single artwork.
It's really original and really colorful, so we like color. We are designers.
Along with over 20 paintings by Toronto-based artist Margot Williamson.
So there's these beautiful paintings that feel familiar, but there's also something a bit odd about them because of the kind of conflicting perspectives.
I think it's amazing because, like, I don't feel like I can see something something like this elsewhere. So I feel like it's pretty cool to see all this.
With free admission offered on the first Friday night of each month, it gives the community an option to explore the space without any barriers. Throughout the spring season, the museum will be offering a wide variety of programming, including art therapy, workshops, and live performances. For more information, you can visit mocha.ca. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
The nominees were announced today for the 78th Annual Tony Awards.
We should do this again. How's next week? How's next year?
Comedy musical adaptation Death Becomes Her snagged 10 nominations to tie for first place alongside 2 other shows. Maybe Happy Ending, which tells the story of 2 robots in love, and Buena Vista Social Club, a musical telling the story of celebrated Cuban musicians. This year's Tonys takes place June 8th, hosted by Cynthia Erivo.
After the break, protecting your property from possible flooding with the summer storm season approaching. Some tips to keep any cracks sealed and water away from your home.
Go out there and just enjoy the moment.
We know we're capable in that room, and we're looking forward to tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Updating our top stories, we're just minutes away from Game 6 in the Toronto Maple Leafs playoff series against the Ottawa Senators. The Buds are in the nation's capital, hoping to bring an end to the Battle of Ontario after the Sens fought back from a 3-0 deficit. If Toronto wins tonight, they'll advance to the second round.
This needs to be fixed now because 911 is our lifeline.
A Toronto resident is speaking out about delays she faced reaching an operator when she called 911. Upasna Sharma says her experience waiting for help during a fire has left her concerned about the reliability of the emergency service. Toronto police say they're working to hire more 911 operators, including 3 classes of 30 this year.
Everybody knows that judicial independence is a bedrock in a democracy.
And that affirmation today from Ontario's Attorney General. It comes a day after Premier Doug Ford suggested he felt certain judges are derailing his government's agenda. The PCs also tabled a new bill making it easier to get restraining orders on perpetrators of domestic violence and confirmed plans to study options for involuntary drug treatment for some Ontarians.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar is down 1/3 cent to 72.24. Western Canadian Select Oil is down more than $2 to 47.79. And the TSX is down 46 points to close at 24,795.55.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Spring showers are great for growing flowers, but can prove problematic for homeowners. Basement flooding is a real concern in many Toronto neighborhoods, but there are steps you can take to protect your property. CTV's John Musselman reports.
It's been a wet spring and we are approaching the summer rainstorm season, so now's a good time to inspect your property to protect it from flooding.
Grading's very, very important. Grading your property away from your house is the most important thing you can do to prevent water from getting in your foundation.
Bill Shea is with the City of Toronto Water Department. He says it's important to make sure your downspouts are properly attached and in good shape, and pay close attention to any cracks in the foundation.
Here you can see that we've put some caulking into a crack in the foundation here. And there's caulking all the way around this window. And this is a modern window, so it's less likely to have that issue. Yep. But that's what you want to do. You want to make sure if the water comes up to this level, it's not going into your foundation and then into your house.
And inside your home, Shea recommends people install this device. It's a backwater valve that prevents overflowing storm sewer water from entering your home.
It has a flap on it so the water can only go one way. So in other words, if there's a storm and the sewer backs up and water's coming in this way, it stops against that stop.
The city offers a $3,400 subsidy to help cover the costs. And there's good news for residents in the Rockcliffe Boulevard neighborhood. That's near Jane and Black Creek. It has experienced devastating flooding over the years.
So what the city's doing for that is we're putting $1.4 billion into restructuring the Black Creek and taking away pinch points, also changing the sewers in the area such that we can move that water away that's not flooding people's basements.
And we know flooding can be a costly cleanup. Insurance experts say most importantly, people need to know what is in their policy.
A lot of people will purchase an insurance policy and have assumptions in terms of what is covered. And for water coverage, because it is different by market and the type of coverage available to you and the different types we talked about, it is really important you understand what are you protected against based on where you live, what are your risks, and that's where a licensed insurance professional can help.
Experts say sewage backup and surface water entering your home isn't always covered in a basic policy, so it's important to know what your coverage is and if you want to add more. John Musselman, CTV News.
Mayor Olivia Chow is in the Willowdale area this morning to celebrate a major step forward in a supportive housing project. The mayor was in attendance at 185 Cummer Avenue as a number of modular units arrived. The pre-made units will be assembled into a 3-story building next to Willowdale Manor. The housing development is set to offer 59 units as homes for seniors and older adults exiting homelessness.
And I think of all the seniors that are on a wait list for Toronto community housing. And the wait list is about 10 to 12 years. And some of them become homeless. And they live in our shelter. But shelter is not a home. Shelter is basically a roof over your head. You can't cook for yourself. You don't have your own space, and it's hard. And what is happening here is that there will be a home, independent living, with a kitchen and a washroom. Not very big, but it will be a home for a whole lot of seniors.
The city also announced the 3-story complex will be operated by Wood Green Community Services. The organization will provide a range of services to support older adults to help them maintain their housing and improve their overall health so they can continue to live independently.
The Toronto Blue Jays can win their series against Boston in tonight's finale at Rogers Centre.
And the pitch. And it's lined to deep left field, and that's a game winner.
Last night, Alejandro Kirk hit a bases-loaded single in the 10th inning, giving Toronto a 7-6 comeback win. It ended a 3-game losing streak. Jose Barrios will be on the mound for the Jays this evening.
Meanwhile, Canada Basketball has announced who will coach the seniors men's national team in 2026. Gordie Herbert says he's incredibly honored and excited for the opportunity to coach his home country. The Penticton, BC native represented Canada as a player in the 1984 Olympics. He led Germany to a FIBA World Cup title in 2023 and a 4th-place finish at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Herbert will be joined by Jordi Fernandez, who stepped down. He'll replace Jordi Fernandez, who stepped down in February.
Just ahead, a Toronto dad on a mission to break a Guinness World Record, a 1-kilometer run with his son and a stroller flying around a track. We'll tell you what happened after the break.
Tonight, the mixed reception on cell phone bans in Quebec schools.
If something happens, I like to be able to just take my phone out and call my parents.
I like the cell phone rule because my cell phone to me is a distraction.
Why some are hung up on the new rules and the other provinces are cracking down. Later on CTV National News.
Thousands of runners are set to hit the streets this weekend for the Toronto Marathon. The big race takes place Sunday. The full and half marathons start on Yonge, just north of Shepherd, with the finish line at the Queen Elizabeth Building at Exhibition Place. Keep that in mind, as there will also be road closures in place.
Well, being a parent can sometimes feel like you're running a constant race.
A Toronto father knows that, and today took strides to show that having a baby in tow doesn't have to make you slow. CTV's Scott Lightfoot has the story.
He's an accomplished runner and obstacle course racer, but last year, while outrunning with his son in a stroller, Toronto's Brendan Neely had an idea.
It just kind of dawned on me one day. I was out there running, pushing the boys, and I just thought, hey, maybe there's some sort of record. 3, 2, 1, go.
This morning at Downsview Park, with family and friends cheering him on, and sponsored by the stroller company Baby Jogger, Neely went for a world record. fastest time running 1 kilometer while pushing a baby stroller.
Push a living individual, his son, who's going to be safely strapped into the stroller. The stroller cannot be modified in any way, shape, or form. He has to be in constant contact with the stroller for the full 1 kilometer. And he is not allowed to use the pram to support his body weight. He's got to be pushing that thing.
The firefighter and father of 2 spent months training for this record attempt.
My youngest, who's going to be in the stroller, he has no idea what's going on. But my oldest son, he's been my biggest training partner throughout this whole build up to this, and he's kind of bummed out that he's not going to be in the hot seat for it.
The previous Guinness World Record was held by a man from the UK who ran 1K while pushing a stroller in 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Neely and his son Jack did it in 2 minutes and 51 seconds, setting a new record.
That was unreal. That went smoother than I had ever thought. Conditions turned out to be perfect. The wind stayed down, so and Jack was content the whole way, kicking his legs, just having a great time. So, yeah, it was the ideal effort.
Next week, Neely heads to Saudi Arabia for a race, but says he's now thinking of going for a tandem record, pushing both of his boys at the same time.
It's really so much more than the record. Like, just the amount of hours I put in with these guys is truly what means the most to me. So yeah, it's been quite the wild ride.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
That should be an Olympic sport. You see that a bunch of parents lined up with strollers going full speed.
It's impressive. We've all done that, but never tried to run. I don't know. Have you?
No, I never have, but I have pushed the stroller a few times, that's for sure. And in weather like this, well, you need the umbrella, you need that stroller cover. I'm happy to share that the heaviest rain is now moving out of downtown Toronto, and we're seeing less in the way of lightning in the GTA as well. But be mindful, keep an eye on the sky through the rest of tonight. We see our temperature hold at about 11 degrees for the low. And then tomorrow we're up around 18 degrees. Should get some clearing at times during the day as well. And then the weekend brings a little more in the way of cloud cover. We're watching Sunday for maybe a few showers. Temperature trending around seasonal through much of next week. Michelle and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Tachidina at 11 tonight for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.
Go Leafs, go.